she's going to do with the winery. And, man, the county gave her so much grief. But, man, she's so resilient and just came up on top. So she's incredible.
She is so resilient.
She is. Lost her mother.
Yeah. Like, she's definitely been through a lot, man. And she has a beautiful family. Just the way, everything about it is sexy.
Yeah.
But they just had to get rid of that house, though.
I know.
Which
She
is
told me about
a damn
that.
shame.
Which is so many memories there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of memories, bro. It's good. All right. Once I start the music, then we'll literally be in the show. And if you say anything that you don't like, just let me know.
Got it.
Because I rewatch these and I'll edit it out. Also, just so you know, I'll switch headphones sometimes. This one's got a lag on it.
Got it.
So if I act weird, it's because like when I'm talking, the talking that's after it is kind of weird. Okay. Bam. Chef Rogelio. All right, Sucio Talk Podcast. We are here at / Am I saying that right?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you come up with the name, Chef? Sounds a little Latin.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Just a tiny bit. Yeah, I throw a little space in the Napa
Little
Valley.
brown, you know what I mean? I was telling you that somebody was telling me that they thought that you were the new age Costau of the Napa Valley. And I am so proud to have a Latino at the helm here. As you obviously the French Laundry institution, Meadowood, burned down, sadly.
Yeah.
But now you're the new iteration. You got your first Michelin star a month ago.
Yeah,
how does that
man.
feel, bro?
Surreal, man. It's as a kid trying to figure it out in this industry. It's always a dream. And deep down inside, you can get it, but all these obstacles that can happen, family, just life, and to be able to just hone in, laser focus on it, and being able to accomplish that, it's just so surreal. I don't think it's even hit me yet. I think it's still. I think that's one of those things that I'm gonna look back when I'm 50 and say, "Wow, that actually happened."
Yeah, you did that. You did it, bro.
Did it?
Yeah, because if you look at it, like for example, I went to cook at this place in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Super incognito spot in the middle of the Yellowstone, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I thought about it, and I'm like, there's only been a couple like 1,000 people that have been to this place.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's only ever been so many Michelin chefs at any time in the world, now more than ever.
Right.
But you're part of that fabric.
Right.
And in 40 years, you'll still be part of that fabric.
Right.
And honestly, laying the groundwork for more Latinos to be in the Michelin.
I think at the end, man, it's all about giving back. I think it starts off as a career. It starts off as I got to make money. I got to feed my family. I got to get a job. I need to take this a little bit more serious. And every year it's a little bit more serious until it becomes more of a legacy, and then it becomes like giving back, not just to the Latino, but any young, hungry individual that's willing to push themselves forward in any industry. I think if there's some sort of inspiration anywhere to give, it's that. Because I always think of myself, and when I'm very anxious to meet myself when I'm 45 and 50 and say, what have I done? What have I accomplished? And how much have I given back? Because I have two boys. They're 17 and 16, and so they're always looking up to me, and I look up to them. And it's always that thought of, am I giving back? Am I truly able to like cement that? And I think that's going to be the next years to come for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you said they're 16, 17?
16 and 17.
So how old were you when you had them, bro?
I was 18, 19. Man.
18, 19.
Man.
So I bet at that point in your life, talk about that a little bit, because people rarely do.
Yeah.
Hey, having a kid that early when your whole family, like, what the fuck?
Oh, man.
What was that like?
The first image that comes out is when I told my mother. And she was sitting in bed, and I said, Mom, I'm going to be a father. And just like cried, man. And so I think it's been such a journey, though, because I think I was able to focus on one thing. And like I said, it was on making it right. I made a promise to myself at that age that I always wanted to be in their life. Like no matter what. No matter what happened with their mother, no matter what happened in my career, whatever it was, I wanted to be in their life. And I stuck to it. And they're very understanding of this industry because I've involved them into it. Like we've cooked for 800 people. They made tortillas in front of a crowd. They've gone up to crowds with people clap at them and say good job. And so for me, involving them has always been way of them understanding what I do and why my hours are so long, and I'm able to talk to them and they're understanding, so I'm just so proud of for sure.
Hell yeah, bro. That's a testament to you, man, because I look at my career and I'm like, I wouldn't have made it if I had kids, bro. I'll tell you right now, because there's those times where you're working in these rough kitchens and you're like, okay, now I can't cry myself to sleep over a prep list. I gotta fucking go home and be a dad now. There's no breaks in that.
for sure.
And I feel like that gives you an edge, man, because you get to this level of maturity that not a lot of dudes my age that have no kids have.
Yeah.
And I'll just be the first one to fucking tell you that. You know what I'm saying? So I think kids really do help you mature in that way.
Yeah.
And they keep you young.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
You know what's hip.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's up. And it's to stay in the game that long. You've been in your 20s forever as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
you know?
man, but it hasn't always been easy. There's been times where we had to stretch $1 into 10, but I think those are the life lessons, right? Either you learn them or life is going to teach you one way or another. So I think that for me, it's been always just being grateful of what I have, grateful of being here today, and just look back at the journey. And man, through the journey, meeting so many great people, cooking for amazing people, made connections, and being able to just look back, be proud of that. That's the food industry for me.
Yeah.
It's what I got into the game for. So I just think it's incredible.
Yeah, hell yeah. So what, are they wanting to be chefs?
No, so my son, he wants to be a barber.
Okay.
So
make money anywhere, baby. Let's go.
I know, so I got to let him mess my hair up a little bit, get the practice.
Yeah.
And the other one, I'm not too sure yet.
Hey.
I think he might follow in the steps, but I'm not sure yet. I definitely want them to be happy. Whatever they do, be happy. And then later years to come, to choose a woman that, that they love and loves them. That's all for me, to be honest. Just for them to be happy and not make any mistakes, like any mistakes they're going to regret, but just stuff that they are able to come back from. And that's it, man. I'm so proud to when they're in their 30s and if they get married, I'm able to just be part of the wedding.
And actually have enough to dance and shit, bro. You're not in a wheelchair out there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I'm going to be like in a walker.
Yeah.
You're like,
the greatest compliment is when they're like, is that your little brothers? I'm like, yeah.
That's hilarious, bro. Oh, those your little brothers. Wow, chef. Okay.
Yeah, man.
You're hottie out here, man. People want you. He's like, what can I say? Cool, man. Here, Sucio Talk, we take it all the way back. So where were you born?
So I was born in Mexico City.
Okay.
In 1986.
Okay.
And Mexico City, it was my mother, single mother, made the decision to come and bring me when I was 2 to America, following that American dream. And we landed in Los Angeles in the 90s. So we, all through the 90s, it was sleeping in garages and trying to figure it out. She made minimum wage. She became a CNA, which is a nurse assistant, and did that for forever. So I feel a strong connection to anybody in healthcare. She would bring me to her work as I would wait for the bus or after school, and I would help her feed her patients. So she would have a strong connection with her patients, and every time I walk into a hospital, I just get that it reminds me of growing up almost like in a hospital, because it means a lot it brings a lot of memories after school and before school. And was there for about till I was 15, trying to figure it out. I always felt like I didn't fit in Los Angeles. I felt like there was a lot of violence and crime, and I thought there was a bigger world out there. I didn't necessarily found myself where I wanted to be, and my mother made the decision to bring us up to Napa Valley. My aunt lived here. They all worked in restaurants for years. She said it's a beautiful space. You can raise your kids here. So she brought me, my sister, and my brother, and we came when I was 15. And I remember driving Highway 29, and that was when there was no GPS. So you're supposed to print out the
MapQuest, baby.
MapQuest. That's what it was. You go step by step. So we're on Highway 29. We pull over, and my aunt lived in the back of the French Laundry. So we pull over, and she's, hey, that restaurant there, it's open. Why don't you ask? I'm lost. I don't really know where we're at. And in Mexican culture, you would hear this a lot. Like, you speak English? Go. You go ask. You go ask.
Order for the whole family? Yeah, at a restaurant?
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. I get out of the car, and I see this beautiful building, and I see these people in suits, right?
Yeah.
I open the door. I walk in, and I see all this copper and all these paintings. And to my right, there's this young lady with this almost uniform. And I say, I'm lost. I'm looking for this address. And she's like, yeah, you got to drive back there, right? And then I look at the sign, and it says Bouchon. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. The smell, the way they carry themselves. And that was my first impression of a restaurant. And then later through the years, it made sense. I made that connection. But when I came here, it was, even though I didn't fit in Los Angeles, I felt like I didn't fit in here. I was halfway through school, left all my friends in Los Angeles, trying to make new ones. I was pretty much a loner at the beginning, and starting off in high school. And I told my mother, you know what? I want to work. Like, I don't want to just be at home, or I don't really want to. I just want to help you out. I want to help you pay the rent. I want to get a job. I started working, and the minute I walked into a restaurant, I was like, wow, this is incredible. But I did take acting classes for 4 years in high school.
You did?
Yeah, I did. So I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to.
No fucking way. Me too, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me a pound,
Yeah,
dude.
that's right. I always say we need to start a playhouse company or something and do plays, bro. I'm down.
Yeah, let's
We'll
do
get the niños in there.
know.
Let's go, baby.
I think I love the theatrical art of it. I don't by any means think I was good, but man, there were guys in there that can sing and dance and do all these moves and like connect with the camera. And I was like, wow, like I thought I was good, but these guys are like
way better,
singers, man, and dancers. But we would have to record on camera in high school, and then we had to watch it. And so it was like, man, like that's how my voice sounds. That's how I look.
Yeah.
Like, it was like very hard for everybody. It was really hard. But the one thing was like, you just got to get comfortable. You got to get comfortable. You got to work on it. You had to do this, that, and the teacher I had was incredible. But I think just cooking just brought me to life. I think. I think it's what really
gave you the confidence.
Gave me the confidence to do that. And I think it was more of I can start from the bottom and I can work my way out. Right? Like there's no expectation.
Exactly.
Right? And I think because I just think it was easy for me to just do that instead of jumping into something where I'll feel I didn't have the confidence to do it and I still needed more training or whatever. Like it was an easy way out. And I think that's what helped me out. So
hell yeah.
And I haven't stopped ever since, man. It's been the grind. Like keep your head down, push, go for it. And it's been an amazing journey, man. So that's how I started. Yeah, in cooking.
Damn, bro. Yeah. So she was Thomas Keller's neighbor then.
She was, yeah.
Crazy.
Back when rent was a lot cheaper. Now, I don't know if anybody can afford Yountville right now.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
It is, yeah.
But it'll turn back the tides because it's like I was telling you, I'm like, what is the population of workers within the city of Yountville?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At some point, it goes to the other side. And like, so it's always the ebb and flow of things.
Yeah,
I always ask myself, I'm like, how high can inflation go?
Yeah.
Is the minimum wage in 30 years going to be $50 an hour? Like, what are we pretending that the same amount of money costs more?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
We're going to need a lot more tables in every restaurant.
Exactly,
man.
A lot more staff, a lot more tables. It's crazy. Okay, so Napa, restaurants, family. Where was your first restaurant job? Serious, I'm going to get this going.
Yeah, so I think the first years, it was a lot of trying to find myself, trying to get warmed up, if you will, you know? Just getting to know the culture, getting to know the ingredients, the language in restaurants. And I think my first restaurant that I walked into was probably Cyrus. It was the tasting menu restaurant. I didn't know anything about Japan, in gingers and rice wine vinegars. And like, it was just so new to me. So a simple thing as get this from the walk-in. I was like, wow, I didn't even know this ingredients existed. But that was through my whole career.
Yeah.
So I would go back and research it and be like, what is lemongrass or what's Thai, whatever, chilies and all these things. And so the more I did that, the more I got curious. And I would go and I think my biggest inspiration as a kid was going back and watching YouTube videos of Jose Andres and him doing talks at like colleges or UC Davis and things like that.
You're like, I could do that shit.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this guy. And he was the only guy, I think, at the top that I connected with because he can speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was so out there. Like it was all American chefs. So for me, it was like, this is the guy I want to be like. And I used to watch his talk, buy his cookbooks, get to know like his restaurants. And he was a huge inspiration. And that's how I got whatever I didn't know, I would always go back home and research it. So that's how I evolved myself through cookbooks, like connecting with chefs and connecting with chefs who wanted to be at the highest level as well. You would have a connection that you would almost compete, but it was more of a friendly competition. You would push each other and you would share situations and share experiences in the industry. And it was pretty cool, man. It was incredible to do it when you're that young because you're like, this guy, when we connect with somebody who knows it's going to go far, you're like, this guy's going to go far. And so it was great to start off that way. But then also chefs, there was a ton of mentors through the career that gave me an opportunity when I think I didn't even know if I was ready or I didn't even know if I could do it. But man, it was pretty cool to be part of that.
Cool.
You know?
Can you name some of your most prominent mentors and where they're at?
I'll say I think the number one will be Tracy Desjardins.
Okay.
I was heading to San Francisco. I was done with Napa after about 15 years of cooking. I wanted to try something new. I always wanted to go to New York City. I did stage there and try to make the move, but it was just very hard, and the amount of money that it was going to take to move, and I was going to live in a cardboard box in like Brooklyn and making minimum wage. The next best thing was San Francisco, and again with two kids.
Yeah.
So I went to San Francisco, and I was figuring out what my next move, and I did a tasting at one of her restaurants because she was looking for a chef, and I'd never met her before, right? And when I was going to do the tasting the day of, she walks in, and I'm like, wow, I'm a little starstruck. I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to cook for this woman. Like, I seen her on TV. She's an icon in San Francisco. I worked with chefs that work with her, and I was just a huge fan. And then being able to work with her and cook for her, it was just incredible. And when we sat down, she said, "Do you want the job?" I was like, hell yeah. But she opened so many doors and was always understanding, was always willing to give back to me. I think it might have reminded her when she was that young, but she's like a mother in the industry for me. And to this day, man, like we stay connected, and anytime I'm stuck on something, I reach out to her, and she helps me through it. So she's definitely a huge mentor, and I have a cookbook coming out next year that I asked her for a recipe, and she's going to be in it. So I'm super excited. She's half French, half Mexican. Yeah. So there's that connection there. And she loves Mexico. Like her casual cooking is incredible because it's from Mexico, and she loves that. And she's just like such a fan of Mexico. But she started with France. So we had that connection as well. Like I started cooking more Eurocentric and from Italy and France. And the same thing with her, but I felt disconnected at some point because I felt like I was unconsciously not looking at my roots until probably 6-7 years ago when I started really researching Mexico, and to the point where I was like, I think I want to write a cookbook. The more I pull out and the more I talk to historians, the more I read cookbooks, the more I find things about myself and my family. There's something here that I want to give back, and I think it was. And all of a sudden, we're like writing a Mexican cookbook from Napa Valley, and I'm like, wow, what a great opportunity to be able to do that.
Hell yeah, bro, that's dope. Yeah. Hell yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, yo, you're all over it. Tell me this: how'd your wife and your family deal with you wanting to move to San Francisco? I think at that age, we didn't even know what we wanted. So I think it never worked out. It was never going to work out. So we've been separated. But like I said, like I made that promise to myself to stay connected with my boys. And so I made the move, and they were, at least my boys were understanding, but I would always bring them I lived in Marin, and then I was to work in San Francisco. So I did the commute. But they would love Marin. We would hike, we would eat around, we would play basketball and soccer, and it was pretty incredible 7-8 years there. But then I come to the Napa Valley, and it's the same amount of time that I would drive to their home from Marin. So no much of a difference. But even though it was a little bit farther, I still felt the connection. I was still there with them. But I think for my family, I think it was they wanted to just see where I could go. So we're always very supportive. They would always cheer me on and always proud, and they would always come visit in San Francisco, or I would come to Napa the times that I could, holidays, things like that. So it was family, at least in that aspect, super supportive. Got it.
Yeah.
And the 15 years you were in Napa, you worked at Cyrus. Where else did you work?
I worked at TFL. I was a chef at Angel, which is a bistro. I think that's where
that's a maker right there. That makes chefs, that place.
Man, that's so Bettina is another mentor.
You're right.
I think I
Bryant,
was
is that?
Bettina.
Okay.
Bettina. Her father was one of the partners of Auberge du Soleil.
Okay, got you.
They're French.
Okay,
she grew up in Napa. I mean, in St. Helena, and opened the restaurant in Napa. But she's a mastermind in the front of the house. Incredible. I learned a lot from her. Businesswoman. She worked for Thomas Keller for a long time. So her attention to detail in restaurants and business is just incredible. And when you work with somebody who, is that involved in their business, it's such a admiration, because she didn't just open and left and open more restaurants and continue just to open, because it's special when you go there because she's still there. I just went, and she still greets you at the door, and it's just when you have those moments and you see them, there's like a chef being in the kitchen when the guests are in. That's his restaurant, that's his baby, that's her. And all, again, supportive, always willing to give back to the staff. She closes Christmas, New Year's Day for the staff, and she has staff that's been there for 20 years with her, 21 years, whatever the restaurant's been open. And you don't see that anymore. You don't see staff unless you really invest in them. And for me, it's always been able to connect with her and being able to be part of that family. And yeah, man, it's an iconic restaurant in Napa. Riverfront, French, escargots are incredible, and the service is impeccable. So it's a beautiful restaurant. And then eventually I left.
Who's the chef there now?
Josue. He's from Costa. Yeah, he's from Costa Rica.
Alvarado.
Yeah,
he's my boy, man. Out there, man.
He's incredible.
He's dope.
Yeah.
He's such a calm
did you work
soul. With him? No, he came by to be a sous chef at Charter Oak one time.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Didn't end up working out, but just we had a job interview, and it was like not a job interview. It was just him being like, "Thank you, Chef Costow, for everything you've done for Napa Valley." You know what I mean? I'm like,
this guy's a fan, bro.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, I don't think he's gonna get the job, but thank you. You know what I mean? And it's so crazy. Like this industry, you pass by so many people.
So many.
You never know who's gonna pop up back in your life later. You know, and it's a strong lesson for everyone out there. Just treat everyone with respect, regardless of if you like them or not. It's just,
dude, I tell people all the time, specifically the younger generation, that make those connections, because the minute you walk into a restaurant, you're already there. So if you plan on staying in this industry and opening restaurants and whatever, like connect, just get those connections, and because you're gonna eventually, it'll circle back. Like you would find them again, and in one way or another. People hit me up from 20 years ago when I started, or I asked them for, hey, do you know this? Or something that can take you 2 years can take you a week, just because you have the right connection. And I think I tell all these guys, just stay connected, stay humble, and don't make any huge mistakes, because I think it's gonna help you at the end. But that's what I say to them, because it's just, those connections are gold. You have the right connections, they're gold.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've encountered a lot of this, though, when you have some connections, then they have the connections.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, one day you'll make it.
Yeah.
And it's, motherfucker, you got the phone number.
I know.
Just give me the phone number. It's not that hard.
Yeah, for
but I get it. When you work so hard for your reputation, it's hard for you to just be like, hey.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
For
and
sure.
so
For sure. No, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
For sure. And then tell me about Spruce.
Yeah, man, Spruce. Oh, man, it was an iconic restaurant as well, right? It has...
Shout out to Bacchus Group.
Oh, man. Tim is a mastermind.
Yeah.
Like, he is, the palate that he has and his leadership skills, the way he's able to, like, the vision, just a true visionary. I got super inspired. I work with a lot of chefs, but I don't think I've worked with a lot of front of the house, or just, I don't even call him a front of the house, but this guy, just the vision that he has for his restaurants is incredible. 3 one-star restaurants to bakeries to, I think they're opening some sort of a burger spot.
They're doing frozen pizzas.
I mean,
God,
this guy,
they own coffee farms.
Coffee farms. There's farms. We had a farm. It was.
Yeah.
He's just a mastermind. And when you're able to almost get in the ring with those people, you learn something.
For sure. And that's where the humbleness comes in handy.
It does, because you know, and all of a sudden it's like, shit, I didn't think I knew as much as I think I did.
And when you exude that energy of, I know better, the people who know more stop teaching you.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
And once you lose, that's when you got to take a look at yourself and be like,
yeah. It's almost like when you're confident, right? And we all have a little confidence, and we have experience, so that helps. But when somebody knows, it's almost like you're stripped, like you're almost naked, right? You're like, oh my God, I don't think I knew as much as I think I did. And I think that's with him, because he just has a ton of experience doing this way longer. And the way that they're able to partner is incredible. But Spruce has always been an iconic restaurant, from the space that it's in to the clientele that they get, the wine program to the food. It's just, and it's busy, man. Like, it's one of the busiest Michelin star restaurants in San Francisco. It's a monster, man. And then they added the tables after the pandemic. I could only imagine how busy it is. But I learned a lot in that environment, because financials to standalone restaurant to just the amount of the work ethic, integrity, all those things. And it's been a place where I would always call home. I think that's definitely a place where It pushed me, and I pushed it, and it's part of me. And Mark is another incredible guy. Always had my back. It's good to have somebody with the chef vision and chef eye. And he has it, and he's inspired a lot of chefs. He's been around for a long time, and
He has, man.
he has
Years. I'm
years.
like, damn, old as fuck. Shout out to you,
Love
Mark.
you, Mark.
Yeah. Sucio talk, baby.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so happy to hear that because there's a lot of times that you hear the opposite.
Yeah.
And I feel like us as human beings, we focus on our bad shit that happened to
Right,
us, and we hardly talk about the good. And
Right.
that's what Sucio talk is.
Yeah.
It's, man, there's multitudes to this thing called life.
Yeah.
And there's not
Yeah.
one way of looking at it.
Yeah, yeah.
And even if you have 100 perspectives, there's someone that has 300.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And something that I like, there's this comedian, Bill Burr, and he says this. He goes, I like what I think. I like what I think a lot.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And literally everyone thinks that.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes I try to remove myself from the situation
Right.
and see, like, outside looking in, try to balance it out. I don't know if that's the Libra in me or just the Latino of trying to, like, keep everything even keeled.
For sure.
Because as Latinos, like, you won't write off family based on, like, drug use. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you'll be
yeah.
like, hey, your uncle's coming. Just know,
Yeah.
don't
For
bring
sure.
around the alcohol. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
But then there's families in other cultures be like, we're not talking to uncle no
Oh,
more.
yeah,
You
for
know what I
sure,
mean?
for sure.
So I feel like as a Latino, you have a broader spectrum of acceptance
For sure.
versus someone who didn't grow up around that. And
Right.
I don't blame them. It's just, that's their upbringing. And this is
Right.
ours. So it's different. And it's not a race thing either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Another thing. It's like there is all different types of colors that go through the same things. And
Right.
it's not mutually exclusive. This thing called life is very fucking crazy.
It is.
And so Spruce, you did that. When do you decide to leave a place like that? Like they're giving you all this shit.
Right. Yeah.
Because to me, when I told my dad, like, yo, I'm leaving Meadowood, he was
Yeah.
like, what?
What? Yeah, yeah.
Why would you ever
Yeah.
leave this job? And so it's a difference in thinking of like our dads or our parents
Right.
versus now. So how do you decide, well, I want to leave?
I think there's a lot of things. I think a lot of it is, I think the commute was tough. San Francisco it was different after the pandemic. I lost a little soul, or it was tough during the pandemic, after the pandemic. And I don't think it was necessarily Spruce. I think it was the time that I was in San Francisco. Like, I love a big city, man.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, like, it's a big city. It's got its goods and its bads. I love coming here on my days off, but do I want to live here? Do I want to spend all my time here?
Yeah.
And I think I started to appreciate Napa as much as after 15 years, I was like, I'm done. I want to go to a big city. I
Right.
think part of me was like, I feel like maybe it's me getting older. I don't know. But I think I'm looking back into Napa at that point. And I think that was a huge decision. My kids were getting older. And then I got this idea of writing this cookbook. And I was like, if this book is going to be a Napa book and it's going to represent me and wineries and restaurants and the produce of Napa, I have to be in Napa. Like, I would love to be in Napa. This book is released. And I think all those together made it happen. But I also think there was also personal goals, right? For me, it was always to get a star, like my own star. And it was always not good enough. Like, I would look in the mirror and say, I'm not doing enough. Like, it needs to be mine. And it's a goal, right? And I don't want to say where it's a all be all, but it was a goal. It was a goal. And I think if I didn't think I could achieve it, I probably would have changed goal or something like that. But
Right.
I definitely wanted to do that. I think it was because I felt like I could do it. I just had to find all the right pieces to be able to do that. And I think being here today has always been incredible. And I do want to say that I think the way that I look at things now, I think it's more of the opportunity because I feel God blessed me through the journey a lot. Like, he had his hand in my back and was guiding me because there's a lot of turns that I could have taken, and from born in Mexico City to making it all the way to paradise.
Right.
This is paradise. You
It
look
is.
around and
Definitely
this is like paradise, right? And how do I make it here? I don't know. I'm just grateful, and I'm grateful anybody that ever gave me an opportunity, because the opportunity it's not an opportunity that's guaranteed. You're not going to make it. It's an opportunity where you have an opportunity to succeed or to fail, and that's it. So anybody that ever gave me an opportunity was those two things, right? It's up to you. It's up to you to take it and to push it. And that's how I've always looked at those things, that the door's open. I just got to walk through it. And it takes a lot of discipline and motivation, self-motivation and push. But I think discipline is the hardest thing because, man, like, it's easier to go to the bar and drink and have fun and go out on the weekends, but it's way harder to get up at 6 a.m. and work those 12, 14 hours and then do it again and do it again and do it when you're sick and do it when you're not feeling well and do it when you're feeling like you're doing the wrong thing and feel like you don't want to do it, but you still have to do it. And that is, for me, the hardest thing is the discipline, is to be able to do it. And I just think it's been such a blessing, man, to be able to just be here now, push through it. But that's the way that I look at it at a different lens, I feel, maybe, but I'm just grateful to be in paradise today. So
for sure, brother.
Yeah.
You are right. It is all about the journey. And I think a lot of cooks, chefs, people coming up in the game, they put their time in. Yeah. And they think after a certain bit, okay, like, this is what this other chef did, so why don't I have my own restaurant? Right. Or why don't I have... And there's a group of people who will speculate and say, like, when I have my own restaurant, when or when I do this, when I become executive chef. And it's things that you learn the hard way when you step into those positions, that it's not just the way you thought it was. Oh, no. And so you look back and you're grateful for everybody that's affected you in that way. And I was telling you before, I don't think there's anything wrong with reaching out with past people in your life and just appreciating them. Sending a text message to somebody you haven't talked to in months and being like, hey, whatever happened, I fucking love you. Thank you. For sure. You know what I mean? For sure. Because they need to hear that too. Oh, for sure. And I think that if we just communicated a little more about the more positive shit, we would just have better understanding and have that enlightenment that you have. Right. I look back there and I see your cooks and I'm like, I know that they work in this paradise, but this job is fucking difficult. It is. And I'm grateful that they have a leader like yourself who's put in the time. Because right now, there's a lot of people opening restaurants who haven't put in that time. And I'm not taking anything away from them. If you got the money, open. Do whatever. But you're going to learn things in a very difficult manner. For sure. And you're going to lose a lot of people in the process. For sure. And so this little, like, the step-by-step, little by little, like, the progression of your career is, I would say, fucking perfect. If I were to put it in a book and look at it, bro, it's like you spent a little time in Michelin. You spent time being casual. You went to go be a sous chef, and then you got out of that position and went back to be a cook. For sure. That in itself is very difficult. It is. Because you make a certain amount of money, and then you downgrade yourself. But as a great chef, Costello told me, he was like, sometimes you got to make a lateral move. Sometimes you're at the top of the ladder and there's no more up. You got to get on another ladder so you can continue. Oh, for sure, man. You know? And it doesn't get easier the way you continue to climb. But for me, I'm still that hungry young cook. I don't think there's just so many other things to do. There's just so much more to embrace. And I just think that I'm just excited for the future. But these guys, the cooks or the chefs that I work with today, man, when I came here, it was trust. It was a pizza restaurant with great seafood and burgers and fries and all that stuff. And here I come with this vision of saying, we're going to open this other side and we're going to make it into a Michelin star restaurant. These guys are straight out of culinary school. The other day we did lineup and I said, how many of you guys have worked in Michelin star restaurants? And it was just me and the chef de cuisine. And the amount of how proud I am of them, because 2 months out of culinary school, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. I think the most experience we had, probably 2 years in cooking, right? And here I come. We're going to make this happen. We're going to do this. It's all on them as well. They made it happen. They were disciplined enough. They came. They worked the hours. They applied themselves. And it's just incredible to see. These kids are just incredible. I don't know if it's the new generation or what it is, but also they believed in themselves, and here we are today. And it's just, I'm so proud of them and so proud of the process we did, because if it was any other way, it'd be crazy. We didn't pull 2-3 Michelin star cooks from London and France and 50 world's best restaurants. These guys are straight out of culinary school. CIA, baby. CIA. Right down the street. CIA. Not that dog that program, but maybe it shows the amount of
of how good that program is.
I would say so, bro.
But the individual and themselves, man, just the grit and and the pursuit of excellence with that generation is just incredible. And also, to be quite honest, they want a great environment. It's on them, not just myself, but them to create the morale to keep it as high as possible.
Yep.
Because I can do the best I can, but it's on everybody in there to set the foot forward for that. Because if we all want it, then we all need to go get it.
You're damn right. It takes a village to raise a cook.
It does, man. It does, man. It does. But yeah, it's an incredible journey, man. What a great
man
to be part of.
So you think that the goal is to get more Michelin stars in this place? You want this to sit at a nice 2?
It rings well. It rings well. I think there's... I think
it's I already got the tattoo.
No, I just think I humbly happy to be here. Humbly say that. To get 2 is another push. And I don't know if people realize the amount of focus it also takes for the guy, the chef, the leader, to like the amount of focus and the amount of a space that you need to be in to get to that level. Which for me is, I look at all the 2 and 3 Michelin star chefs anywhere, and they're in a part of their life of, I don't know, man. I wonder how their personal life is. Right. And I wonder how they made it up there and the amount of knowledge that they, because I look at them and almost like you're looking at a doctor. It's like the amount of knowledge and experience and dedication through years and years. It comes out, but not just in food, but in being a leader. I think that's the key. It's how to become a leader for that space. And
you're also like showing these kids what a Michelin star restaurant is from a humble perspective. And I'm sure you can attest to this. When you went to go work at the French Laundry, that is a hamster wheel. That thing is fucking rolling, especially at that time. Yeah. And to get in there, you just need to run. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think here you're starting slow, but you're getting there, and they're part of it. Like, this in itself is historic. Yeah. And these guys are gonna look back, and just like you look back at the generations of cooks at restaurants. Yeah. And this is the base of your legacy here, and you've now affected 10 plus people in this building that are going to go out, do their thing, and say, hey, fucking Chef Rogelio Garcia, baby.
You know what? The thing that I am impressed is that it's their family members, like their mothers, their brothers, their sisters. They're inspired because they go home and they talk about the restaurant, talk about the accolades, talk about what they did, what we brought in, all these things. And so I never met them. I met some, but the extended family is what I'm talking about. It's where they know my name, and then it makes me realize the responsibility that I have now, whether you like it or not. So you can do with it whatever you like, but the fact that they're going back, talking to their mothers and saying, we did this today and we did that and all these things, and we do lineups and we talk about this, we do a quote, all those things makes me realize how infectious it is, but also how many other people it touches because they go home and talk about that. And it's impressive, man, to be honest. When I started cooking, I never thought I'd write a cookbook. I wanted to get a star like every other young cook, but would it be possible? I don't know. Would I ever be in these positions? I had no idea. And the goal was never to be a celebrity chef with cookbooks and Michelin stars. I just wanted to cook. I felt at home. I felt at peace. I felt like I can express myself through the plate. Love the ingredients. I've always loved food. My mother was a great cook. My grandmother was a great cook. And that's the reason I got into it. And then now chefs are almost like these rock stars, right? They're like these like celebrities. And it's good. It's good to see that. But I never got in the industry for that. It was purely the joy of cooking. And that's why when I say I'm still that young cook, is because I still love to cook. I still go home and cook for myself. I made galettes the other day at home, and I made one with egg, spinach, and caramelized onions, and then the other one was with huckleberries. So one's for breakfast, the other one was for dinner. Yeah, and that's what I enjoy. It's never been all these other things. It's always been the pure craft of cooking.
Pure craft of cooking.
Yeah.
So. Oh yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I think that definitely drew me in the beginning. Is you can do this for a job. Like my job, I get paid hourly to cut onions. I think that's fucking dope. And that's my first thought when I got into the game. And then after you see the lifestyle, and that's what drew me in. And then you realize, okay, there's restaurants that are like better than this casual thing.
For sure.
then you go and explore that world. You know what I mean? And it's different for everybody. So your success is never going to be my success.
Right.
And the way I see it, it's like there is people that get into this game to be a famous chef.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's still important.
Oh, for sure.
Regardless of it, like not being the path
For
that
sure.
you took or maybe another
sure.
chef took, like now they have a mouthpiece to speak for those that don't have a mouthpiece.
For sure. For
and
sure.
like that's what I feel like you can do with that sort of thing.
Right.
Obviously, there's a lot of like politics to that game
For
that
sure.
you got to play that
sure.
aren't the best. But there's been things in this industry as a cook, as a
Right.
chef that you've had to do that you didn't want to do.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
So it's a struggle in us all, and I think we're all going through the same things in different ways.
Yeah, I think so. It hasn't been easy either. There's obstacles that I had to go through. There's minority, whatever you call it. But I think it's this industry. It's tough, man. Like to say the least. It's not an easy industry, but it embraces everybody.
It does, yeah.
You're embraced. You can come in and out of it whenever you'd like.
Yeah.
And I worked with guys that were pilots
Yeah.
or engineers, and they're like, I don't want to do that. I want to cook. Like that is. These guys were making 200, 300, $500,000 a year to making $12 an hour, and I was like, wait,
That's
what?
Powerful.
That is powerful,
Yeah.
man. That is powerful, and I think it's great if you're happy and you want to do it. It's incredible. It embraces you. But I don't think you can go the other way, though. You can't become
Right.
a $12 cook and become a pilot. So that just shows how this industry embraces anybody.
Yeah.
Which is those nights where whether you have a good night or a bad night and you're with your staff and you talking over the day before, or it's just, and everybody's there, and it's almost this collective of feelings that you have, and you're able to express yourself. It's amazing because everybody goes through it. It's a brotherhood. You go through service together. It's like you're going to war, right, together. And on the other side, either you win or you lose, but hopefully more wins. But forevermore, like you're always gonna have that connection with your staff, and then you know the guests are always supportive. And some of the cards that I still get to today, it's from the guests that you remember me this time, you remember that time, and it's just incredible to read those things because I made an impression on them, which I never thought it would ever happen.
Yeah, you never know who you're affecting.
You never know.
Yeah, I thought about that while I was putting this together.
Yeah.
It's like I know that there's 2 or 3 cooks in there that are looking in here. Damn, that's pretty fucking cool.
I know.
Could you do it? Can I do a podcast? Yeah. Fuck yeah, you know?
You can.
Anybody can do anything.
Exactly.
And it sounds like kind of cliche to say that, and oh yeah, whatever. Like only people with enough money can do anything, but you have to be willing to go back to zero, and then you can be anything.
Exactly.
And just like you said about the cooks that make $12 an hour and like necessarily is hard for them to maybe become a pilot or an engineer, like it's on us as a new generation of chefs to make that possible.
Exactly.
To say, okay, cool, you're not gonna put your whole life in this, but for today and for tomorrow, and we'll take it day by day. You're still passionate about this. I will teach you as much as I know.
For sure.
Gone are the days of you need to stay here for 2 years in order to get my knowledge.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, enough with that. Because we've done that at too much, and now people are gone from the industry.
Oh, gone.
And we have a lot of chefs that are our age, are on your level, who aren't doing it.
Yeah.
And it's damn, like, I love the personal chef world. Gives you all the money you need, benefits, whatever it is. But I know that there's a hole there for restaurant people because I felt it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I don't know, I guess the question I have, you think they're hurt, you know?
For sure, they're hurt. And I know because I was hurt.
Yeah.
And there needs to be more open conversation about that hurt. Not in a like, oh, let's feel bad for ourselves, but like, how do we change it so it doesn't happen to the new cook? Not about us anymore. It's about them. And what are we doing for them? And now the way I see the podcast is like, these kids, half of them aren't reading cookbooks. Some of them are.
Sure.
But they're taking this in.
This is the cookbook. This is the cookbook.
Exactly.
This is the cookbook.
Like you said, you watch YouTube.
Yeah.
Someone's going to watch this and someone somewhere will be inspired by it.
For sure. For sure.
And that's Sucio, baby. People are like, oh, dirty? No, motherfucker. It's a state of mind.
Exactly.
It's like this, you can take all the bad in your life and all the good and make more good out of it.
Exactly.
And just balance the world in a way that you can for your life. We can't solve everything, and it's a fucking difficult world, but look where we're at, bro. Look at this dining room. Like, it's...
Always spoiled.
No. You brought your parents here. They're like, damn, boy.
Man. I know. It's like you're on top of the world.
Yeah.
And I think as we're prepping, right, we're like looking down, and then you look up and this is what you look at. There's very few restaurants that you have the view like this.
Exactly.
And
cities. Metalwood.
Yeah.
We didn't have any windows in that kitchen.
Yeah.
You couldn't see out.
For
It was
sure.
very insulated.
Yeah.
So when I came in here, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can see out there,
They can see out there.
Who designed this?
I don't know exactly who designed it, but they did incredible. I mean, it took a long time to design. There was people that came in and out and took projects and then left and came back. But I think it was well designed, and to be able to put the restaurant at the top and overlook those vineyards, and it's just incredible. The minute I walked in here, I was like, wow, there's so much potential in this place. And the windows, the 2 4-top that sit in the dining room that you're able to see guests in there, it just makes it for such an experience. And people want to make that connection with the chef or the guy that's cooking.
Exactly.
And so it's incredible to be able to have that, because it's a huge advantage. We're not in the back. We're not behind a wall where we're sweating on a Saturday night. Right. We actually have to look pristine. That's another element to add to this restaurant.
Right.
If we were behind there where nobody can see us, we don't have to really worry about the perception as soon as they sit down until the end of the meal. It's just about the food and service. But the fact that we add us live cooking, it adds how we conduct ourselves. Are we cohesive? If we have a bad night, it's going to show. If we're not orchestrated correctly, it'll show. And we want to make sure that as the front of the house has this orchestra going and they're fluid, we have to be this, and then add the cooking element, and everything needs to be perfect. So that for us is already a challenge, because there's more elements that go into an open kitchen than just being in the back. And we make that, I think, and they enjoy it, because it also brings to those young cooks, it brings like some sort of like, you almost need to be charismatic. You need to be able to have a smile on your face.
It does build charisma,
and it does. So back in the day, it's look down, do your job.
Don't talk
look
to anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now lights come on at 5 o'clock. You're not like,
it's a show.
It's a show. And the way the windows reflect at night when the sun goes down, the light is in there. It's a theater. And it's some young cooks that are not necessarily ever been in that environment might be off-putting, so it takes them a little bit more. Maybe they're shy to talk in front of public, and also refines their skills in the front of the house. They have to know the table seat numbers. They have to know how to drop and clear, and know the ingredients, because they will get asked if they drop something to the table. So all those elements are just, I think it almost feeds them, and they want to know more of that, because there's very few restaurants that are able to do that, because you're never, at least when I started cooking, we never went out to the dining room. It was very rare. And then slowly through the years, you start going out there. And now it's expected. Now we don't have enough front of the house. Now you have to go out and talk about it. So it's pretty amazing.
There's a lot more restaurants, too, opening with just kitchen staff. No front of the house.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So there's a lot of ways to do it. And I'm happy that you're teaching that, because that's part of it. You need to be able to sell the food that you're cooking.
For sure.
If you're just looking down, it's like, who's taking care of the guests?
Yeah.
A chef at the end of the day, aside from being a mentor, is a host.
Oh, for sure.
You're literally hosting a myriad of things. Front of the house, back of the house, problems, successes, all encompassing. How did you come about this job, this place?
I think I've heard that the Four Seasons was opening in Calistoga. I think everybody knew that. It was a huge...
It's been in the opening for a while, for many years.
Yeah. And so I heard it in San Francisco. I don't think I came to Calistoga since I left, so I was out of touch with what was happening out here. And then I thought Four Seasons was just like any hotel. I was that naive.
Yeah.
I'd never really worked in a hotel, really. I don't call myself a hotel chef or whatever that means. So I didn't know what Four Seasons was. And then somehow we made the connection, and they invited me to come. And so I came, and I was like, this is Four Seasons. And I started researching more about their model and who do they cater for, and like their beliefs and their vision and things like that. And I was like, wow. So if they want to set those high standards, right, for the guest. And I think for me, my attraction for restaurants and fine dining and attention to detail, at the heart of it has always been the attention to detail. So when you, I guess, put those two together, it was almost like a Michelin star hotel, right? Like that fine dining hotel. And I was like, wow, everybody takes so much pride in their craft, whether it be the housekeeper to the front desk, whoever's taking the reservation, to like really jot down like the names, to what they're doing, their itinerary, like all these things that they were doing. And I don't think I've ever worked in a place with that amount of a team, not just in restaurants, but overall that was that attentive
In
to the
every
guests.
department.
In every department.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
wild, man.
it is. And then I was like, okay, I want to learn more about like how they became about and this and that. And then the restaurant was just, the hotel was just open. It was probably 6 months, 5 months in when I started, and the goal was to get 5 stars from 4, and then a star more for me. I think for them it was never a pressure. You get it, if you don't, it's all good. We got you.
That's a great mixture of energy.
It is, man.
Because if they're like, hey, if you don't get this fucking star, like, that puts an extra stress. So you're like,
I think the pressure was always on me.
Right.
I put it on myself.
You put it on yourself.
Myself.
Right.
I think for me, it's always, I have to get this. And I don't know why, but I think it was like, I wanted to do it. Like, I wanted to get it. And they were always like, you don't, whatever, it's all good. We support you, all these things. But I was so hard on myself. I was really hard on myself through the process, I feel, because I wanted to get it. Sleepless nights, thinking of this, thinking of that. Could I have done this better? Could I not done this better? Was I too hard? Was I not hard enough? And I think at that time, you just do the best you can. And you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I did the best I can. If it's not good enough, then it's not good enough. Then we'll try again. But I think it was they never put the pressure. I think it was more on, they know how everybody understands what restaurants are going through right now with staffing and California and just in general. But to be able to accomplish that was such a relief, man. I was like, man, that one of the highlights was Thomas Keller coming on and like doing me like a little soprano slap on the cheek, and he's
hey,
congratulations, I'm so proud, and give me a hug and all that.
Yeah.
And bro, where I come from, it's rare to see those moments, and I think that I didn't necessarily cry, but I just felt so emotional inside. I think it just, a lot of things, I guess, triggered just my mother. Not just that's things that I went through. This is my mother. The things that she went through to get us here. Things that she did or not did growing up. Like all the putting food on the table and make it all the way up here. That's all her, man.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, like a lot of the gratitude goes to her.
That's
because
her star, baby.
That's her. Yeah, exactly. And for her to see her son like do that, and I'm again talking as a third person, to see her son do that. Man, I could only imagine the joy, because everything she did was worth it. But then it's almost like passing the baton, right? And then hopefully my son's passing that to them, because it's just, I think these moments like are so deep rooted to the next generation, past and then for the future.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
It took all the 3 Michelin star chefs, it took them a lot of hard work. And not only that, like, they gained people, they lost people.
For sure.
They've seen them come and go.
Oh, yeah.
They've had disagreements, they've had agreements, ups and downs. And I think that it's easy to say, oh, Michelin is this, Michelin is that. But this level of achievement is the same as a music award, as a movie award. Like, awards are necessary. They're important to be a marker of a time of your life. Yeah. That you guys achieve something and it's important. Yeah. And I'm not, like, we shouldn't take anything away from the winners just because there's a couple sour losers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And like, even that saying loser, like, you didn't lose anything. Like, you still have so much to gain. Sure. And that mentality, that ego, I don't know when it happened, but at some point throughout the career, it was like, oh, you're not 28, you don't have a Michelin star yet, you're a loser. Like, you're a failure.
For sure.
And I feel like a lot of us left because of that. Yeah. And it's like, it's just not your time. Thomas Keller didn't open the French Laundry till he was 40. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to Rodney Dangerfield that shit and get famous later, or have your success when you're 60, Colonel Sanders. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure. Bro, I met this woman, man. She owns a restaurant in Marin. She worked at KFC for 15 years. Yeah. Then went into retail. Right. Like, I think like Kohl's or Macy's for another 15. Uh-huh. And I was eating at a restaurant, and she opened a restaurant 10 years ago in her 50s. Never had a restaurant. But KFC experience.
I'm a testament to that, baby. That's good training.
Bro,
that's good training, bro.
And she, man, like, her food, busy all the time. Iconic restaurant in Marin. And super charismatic. And it bleeds into the staff. You walk in there, hostess is polite, and never resistant. Just like good people. And when I had a conversation with her, she is telling me her story. And I'm just like, if you can be a kid all your life and be curious, then you're going to be happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She started her restaurant at 50. She's 60, 61. And she's like, as active as a 25-year-old right now.
Yeah.
Because she's alive. She's alive. And for me, like, that's living, man. Like, seeing her tell me her story and listening to her and having her food is incredible, because there's no end. Like, I think we set ourselves into like expectations, right? 28 and with the star.
And then when you don't make it, you feel like such a fucking failure.
Yeah, or
like,
retire at 65.
Yeah, no.
Hell no. There's more things. Like, there's just, this world is so big and you can do so many things. And you might fail a couple and succeed at a couple, but you take it with a grain of salt and you learn and you move forward. And I just think for me, it's always been like that, because there's so many stories out there that people have done it sooner or people will do it later. And I just think that the time is now. I never look down. I always compare myself to the guys up there.
Right.
Like,
I was looking up.
Yeah, and so it humbles me. Like, I look at the 3-star chefs or multiple 3 stars, and I'm like, wow. It just shows me how much I don't know.
Yeah.
And I just want to continue to push. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm like opening this restaurant, and a lot of the questions are like, what is your food? You know, I don't fucking know yet, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're here to figure this out, baby.
Exactly.
I feel like people get so tied to what's the concept? What's the concept?
Right.
If you don't have a designed concept and it's not perfect, then people don't accept it. But I feel like that's because people are used to a certain level of marketing. Like, we're all controlled by marketing. Like, we're all subconsciously. So this is just a new way to look at it. Just like I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is my Bouchon, and then I'll open my French Laundry. You know what I mean? Whereas he had to open that and said, oh shit, there ain't no money in fine dining. I need to fucking get some burgers going up in here to pay for the caviar. And so I'm super excited and honestly humbled. Thank you for inviting me here. This is big for the show. This is big for me to be able to finally meet you after passing by. I met you once actually at an event at Hoops Vineyard.
We did, yeah.
Shout out to Lindsay.
Yeah.
And there was a whole crew there, man. Tiana G was there.
Yeah.
There was quite a bit of people.
There was, man. And that was the one for the books, man. It was incredible. That dinner, I felt like such a strong connection to Lindsay and the winery, and we stay connected ever since. And shout out to the Truffle Shuffle guys.
Oh, yeah. Tyler and Jason, what up?
Yeah. They're incredible, man. Yeah.
So when you worked with Tyler at the French Laundry, what was that like? What position was he in?
So we were
station partners, right?
Yeah, we were station partners. We would leave Gatorades in the station. Tyler's one of those guys that there's just something about him that he's going to make it. You know? He just knew back then. Like, the passion, the way he talks, like his leadership. He's here for a reason and purpose. And to be able to connect with somebody like that and still through the years, it's pretty cool to see the growth, and we stay connected. It's one of those guys that you'll stop talking for a little bit and then you'll connect again and you'll
pick up right where you left off.
Where you left off. Life happens, but he's always had my back. I've had his. We've done multiple things together, cooking classes. He's came to the restaurants and he supported. He's brought his wife, and congratulations on him and his new baby.
Yeah, man. Beautiful. Liliana Rose, baby.
Yeah.
Beautiful baby, man.
Yeah, and he's doing it, man.
Yeah.
He's a family man, and
I couldn't be prouder of him, man. Just looking at him, man, I told him on his wedding day, man, he's the best version of me. Literally, me on my best day is Tyler. Like, the guy, and I knew it too when I met him in college. I was like, there's something different about you. I need to stick with you, or else I'm going to fall in with the wrong crowd, and this is going to get off the rails. You know what I'm saying? But it's almost like you didn't want to let him down. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that kept me at some points in my career where I was like, I don't think I want to fucking do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when you're driving home in your car and you don't even want to listen to music because you had such a bad service, like, man, those are the people that keep you there. Yeah. And I'm sure for you, it was your kids, your mom. Yeah. And that's why it's important to keep connection with all the people in your career. Because did you grow up with Tyler, or you just went to? No, I went to culinary school. Oh, okay. You grew up? I always say this. I'm like, we became men together, and he kind of gets weirded out. But at the point, I met him when I was 18, bro. No way. So it's like, I'm 33 now, and he's got a kid. I watched him go from working at a turn and burn restaurant in Maine to going to Johnson & Wales to being the first one out of all of our friends who said, hey guys, I'm leaving the Northeast. I'm going to the French Laundry. I'm going to go work at the French Laundry. That's incredible. And we said, what? And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Yeah. And I almost was like, damn, I want to go to California. You know what I'm saying? I never thought of that as an option. Yeah. So something was like very close-minded in my head about that. And you haven't left, right? Huh? You haven't left California, no. Since wow. No. I left. I went on that crazy road trip. And I traveled a little bit. I lived in Wyoming for 6 months, Palm Springs for 6 months. But I think the Bay Area, especially, and Napa, that's why I went on that road trip, man. I'm a feeling guy. I can't just look at somewhere and be like, I don't know, I live there. I got to go there.
For sure.
So I spent a month just like driving around the country looking for a place, like the next place.
Yeah.
And honestly, I fell in love with Austin. I thought Austin was dope.
Yeah,
I would definitely see myself having a house there or something like later on in the years. But there is nothing like the Napa Valley. If you live in the Napa Valley right now, and like it's good to leave for a couple years.
Yeah.
But you hear the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
I went to San Francisco. And fuck it, man, I had to come back to Napa.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's also like this loser mentality where people are like, oh no, I had to go back home. I'm a loser. Like I had to, bro, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you like maybe left a restaurant and you want to get back in the game, but you're too ashamed to say, hey, will you take me back? Bro, go to that restaurant you want to work at. If that's what you were passionate about, if you miss all the people working there and you're stuck in some personal chef job and you want to go do that, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a certain level of that ego that fucks with you, man. It's
Yeah.
always in your head, like every corner.
Yeah.
And it's always like trying to bring you back down and down.
Yeah.
And like you said, man, it's about breaking those chains and being fuck that ego.
Yeah.
I know what's up.
Yeah.
Humble yourself. Move to the other ladder so you can keep climbing. And now you got a trail of cooks behind you, climbing behind you. And your life is just beginning.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful thing, man. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, man.
Honestly.
Thank you, man.
From literally everybody that I know that knows you, like, we all love you.
Thank you, man.
And we want to come up here and enjoy the dining here. And this is a beautiful space. And even like when Meadowwood burned down, it was a sad thing. But I told Chef, I'm like, nobody died. In that building.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And before, like these bricks, this wood, none of this matters without any of you guys and the soul.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's what, like, no restaurant, no space means anything without the actual people in it. And thank you for being a beacon for the fucking industry. I can't wait to keep doing this podcast and following your career and becoming a peer, right? Because at some point, I'm going to get my star. And then we'll sit at the table and then we will drop that ladder off of that helicopter and just make it easier for everyone to come in,
for sure, man.
know?
And I think with that, it's more of inspiration. It should be the right inspiration. It should be a little, bro, like, for years, I had to swallow. I can get it, and guys got it, right? And, redefine, figure out where my holes were and where can I get better at and research it. And it's a tough conversation to have with yourself, specifically because as a chef, you never want to, almost like you were saying, admit fault. Yeah. When you look in the mirror and I need to work on this or I need to work on that or this is where I need to be better, and you're able to do that. There's a lot. When I was 29, 30, 31, all these, and I saw guys getting stars, I was like, wow, man, what's going on? Like, why can't I
feel behind?
I'm behind. Did I do the right thing? Am I in the right field? But I felt many times, man, like many times, like where I had to sit and swallow but I think you have to just learn from that. And I guess that accomplishment is more of what is it that you want. Some people want a family, man, or just have a healthy business. It really depends on what your goal at life. And when you're able to get that and get the next one and get the next one. And if you're able to do that, man, you get confidence, you get more just a drive of life. And for me, has always been just goal setting. What's the next 5 years looking like? What's the next 10 years looking like? And then never forget, like, being present. I think that's the biggest thing is like just be and taking these moments for what they are and never for granted. And so that for me has always been the underlining of everything. And like I said, man, I'm just happy to be here, to be honest. Just happy to be here, man.
You're that, bro. I would end it on that note, but I didn't ask you about Top Chef.
Okay, let's do it.
From how did that all come about? What is?
Top Chef, man. It's been such again, it's one of those things that is going to live forever. So at the time that I was working in San Francisco, they were actually filming. So they brought in like 12 chefs, right? And they were, I was the chef that was getting the stuff together for them. They ordered stuff. They had to do like a mock interview where they would cook something and talk to the camera. And so I was the guy in the back just giving them the produce, and they were doing it with 12 chefs. And the producers were there. And so they would have cameras and they would cook something and they would have to be personal and all this stuff. They were just doing castings, basically. And I think the last guy went out, and the producer, I guess we got along well. He was like, you're on top of it. You're helping these guys out. Very cool. It's like, for fun, I want you to cook something on camera. Let's see where it goes. Do you want to try out? And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I just sat down and we had a conversation. He was asking me, I think, about my childhood and things like that. And he's, I'm gonna push you through the next interview, and we'll see what happens. And this was like December, like right before the holidays, like probably the first or second week of December. And then didn't hear anything till January. So January, I get an email and says, hey, you're like, we're gonna push you through, and you're gonna have another interview. So I have another Skype interview, and they're like, this was like maybe the first week of January. Done the Skype interview, done. Probably the second week of January, I hear again, and they're like, you made it to the next level. You're like 25% in. We're gonna do a second Skype. So I do a second Skype. Then during Valentine's, they're like, hey, can you fly to LA in like the last week of February? Because you passed the last 3 interviews, so can you fly to LA? And we're going to book you in a room, and you're going to do a live interview. So you're going to sit in a chair, and there's going to be 12 people, and you're just going to have a conversation. Make sure you wear who you are and blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And I was like, wait, this is actually getting serious here. I have to fly to LA. So I fly to LA. We're all locked in a room. We can't get out. They take the key, so we had to stay there. And I have a conversation. It was literally like 5-10 minutes. Go back to the room and take a plane back to San Francisco. I didn't hear anything. And then probably March, I get another call saying, you passed that interview. You got to get another Skype. So I probably did like 2 more Skypes. Didn't hear anything until April. And then April, like mid-April, they were like, congratulations, you're going to be on the season 15 of Top Chef. You have about a week to get your stuff ready, because you're going to meet me at this point, and we're going to fly to Colorado. And I was like, what? Like a week? I was like, a week? Shit, I got to pay my rent. All these things you're thinking about. Can I get the time off from work? Because it's 60 days you were out. You can't use phone. You can't use internet, nothing at all. And so somehow I was like, shit, in a week, you technically when you leave a job, you have to give 2 weeks, right? I'm over here giving a week and like permission to take 60-day leave, right? and they were like, it's all good. We got you. So they were very supportive, right? And so I did it, and man, the minute you walk in there, I didn't know, you don't know anybody. So the way they do it is you can't have a connection with anybody. So you walk into there, and there was a couple of San Francisco chefs and New York and all over the country. And man, the type of the brotherhood that you connect with, because you cry, laugh, joke, sleep together. Like it's just this abundance of joy and love that's created, even behind the scenes. And you stay connected. And I'll never forget it, man. Like we went through all Colorado, and I didn't realize how beautiful that state is. And we stayed connected. We still have a thread of what we talk about, frustrations, restaurants, things like that. And there's people that check in more than others. But at the end of the day, man, it's a brotherhood. And also you're able to support the other seasons. So it's not just that season, but the upcoming seasons. You do collab dinners. You're able to go to restaurants. I've connected with so many people that I've been a huge fan of through the last season to the new seasons coming out. I mean, I'm kind of out of touch a little bit because I don't really watch TV, but man, it's been such an incredible journey to just be part of that. And a lot of these guys, just to be able to see them and then their growth, man, it's a great way of this industry. There's just so many ways you can take it, right? You can be the chef, you can be the hotel chef, you can start a podcast, you can start a YouTube channel, you can be a celebrity chef, there's just outlets, and so many avenues, and it's just incredible to be part of that and have that connection to that and affiliated to them, because good people again, and it's so amazing to be part of that and to be able to have those 60 days off. And I think at that point I was probably like, I don't know, 15 years in the industry or 14. And I've never really taken a vacation. And that was my vacation. It was stress like up to the roof, man, and anxiety. But I think till this point, I just think it's hard to watch it, the real TV cooking show still, but it's cool,
because you know the pain.
Well, the pain, the back end, and
the long days, huh?
It's long days. But man, I think all those moments in my career has put me to where I am today.
For sure, man. I would say that when it comes to shows, Top Chef, pound for pound, puts out more talent than any other show. Look at all of the people that host on the Travel Channel. They all came from Top Chef.
Yeah,
you know? And I think Top Chef is a good example of a great business model to make food talent. Because I would say out of all the people that won, the people that don't necessarily get eliminated, they also win.
Oh, for sure.
Really big.
For sure.
Shout out to Joe Sasto.
Oh,
like
man,
that
my
dude
boy,
is hustling, bro. Eat Tantos. You know what I mean? So it's
so
not
many of
easy
them, man,
to do that kind of hustle either.
Yeah.
Like it's not, I'm not going to say it's easier, but it's like when you have a restaurant, it's a little bit more easy than you're just hustling, doing private events, do a cooking class over here.
For sure.
That is an amount of hustle that's difficult, especially for chefs, because we're not trained in business.
No.
So we got to learn about taxes and shit. And you're like,
we're not training camera.
Yeah,
we're not training like
media training, nothing.
Yeah,
bro.
nothing,
That's
man.
what I'm saying. That's why some people that did the podcast are going to look at this and they're going to be like, I can't compete with Rogelio doing like a podcast or like, how's he do it so good? Because chefs are weird people. So they get a little nervous.
For sure.
And we need that media training. Because we, instead of having these journalists speak for us, we need to be the ones that are able to go on news outlets or whatever it is and be media camera ready and speak.
For sure.
You know, to be able to get our message across to the rest of it.
For sure.
And that's what the NBA does. Music does well. Like every other industry is doing it well. And we're just behind.
I think that, man, I think that's going to help. I think whoever's able to break through those things and really define that is going to make a huge impact. And I think we're almost there, but I think...
Almost. It's going to take years, it's like 10, 20 maybe.
Yeah. But
during that time, is like this 10, 20 years, is like these cooks back here, this is their time to be taught, to shine.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I think it's on us as chefs to understand like how we came up, and it was like we were always looking at other restaurants to go work at, but it's I want these guys to be the ones that are bringing people in.
For sure.
You know?
For sure.
Versus just the way it's worked for us and the way we've had to go. And I want to make it like, why isn't there an internship for people that are interested but not in school? That should be a thing. Because like you said, people are passionate about having a family.
Yeah.
And it's like that passion is as important as this.
Oh, yeah.
How do we, knowing that the hours and all that it takes, have that person work here but still be able to fulfill their dream and goals of having a family and being there for their kids?
For sure.
That's a difficult thing to do.
It is, man.
You know? But hell yeah. Sucio talk, baby.
There you go, man.
With Rogelio.
Thank you, man.
Nice to meet you, man.
Likewise, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
Sucio talk, everyone out there. We'll be here soon. I'm opening a restaurant. It's called The Rustic. More on that later. All right. Peace. I always say, because there's very few times, like your cookbook is one of those things that you like stop and make a chapter. This is I'm starting over again. And so I feel like